Good morning, friends, and welcome to the sixth episode of Tabletop Humans, where I invite other humans in the tabletop space to chat about the work they do, whether it's game design, actual plays, charity work, what have you. We play a party game and then we have you home in time for lunch. I'm your host, Just the Human, and today's human guest is Mika McIntosh. Mika is a TTRPG actual play performer, writer, self proclaimed recovering romantic, and co creator of the indie loving Roll D5 channel. I am so excited to chat with him today about indie TTRPGs, his love for lemons, character creation, and so much more, not to mention what his good morning proclamation is going to be for the day. With that being said, Mika, my friend, welcome. Thank you so much for joining this morning. Can you please introduce yourself and let us know what you do as a human in the tabletop space and outside of it as well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you did a better job introducing me than I could introducing myself. Normally, it's just, "Hi, I'm Mika, and I do things." I
I did
yeah,
expand upon that a little bit.
I'm a Brazilian American TTRPG performer. Like you said, co-creator of Roll D5. I like, I really do like indie games, indie systems. It's so much fun to try and not just try like to learn them, to learn these things. I'm getting tongue-tied already. Jeez. Outside of the TTRPG space, though, geez, it feels like it's just mostly TTRPG stuff, but I do enjoy playing with my sister's dog Baxter. Cooking, I love cooking and baking. And every so often, like I fall in and out of watercoloring.
Ooh, okay, I love that. My partner's been doing a lot of watercoloring lately.
Mostly, I use it to color it because I like to doodle. That's my other thing. I really like to draw, to doodle, um, especially in my journal. And mostly I use the watercolors to just like color in, make it look kind of prettier. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you for taking time away from cooking, petting Baxter, and watercoloring on top of doing a bazillion things in the TTRPG space. I happened to look at your 2024. That's the year that we were just in, your year in review, and you were incredibly busy. Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't want to get this number wrong. You played 52 unique systems. That's
Yep.
nuts, with over 25 different channels. And I really want to get into the tabletop of it all. But before we talk about your love for TTRPGs, I really want to hear about what drew you into performing, and more specifically, what drew you into performing in TTRPGs specifically. Do you have a performance background, or did you just pick it up one day on a whim?
So I do have a smallish performance background. It feels odd to say. I do have a minor in theater, which could have been a major if I had just paid attention and like taken an extra semester. Uh, but I didn't do theater for the acting. Like they did always need. I went to a small liberal arts school, about 800 students, so they always needed men for things in the theater department. But I was never actually in things for the most part, or if I was, it was always very small roles. Like I wasn't there to act. There were just like, one. I loved the people. I loved the head of the department, and then there was a lot of crossover between English classes because I majored in English and certain theater classes, like just the study and analyzing of plays as literature. And so I took a few of those classes, and then Bob's your uncle. My sister did a lot of theater and acting, and so I was also exposed to it because of her. And so acting was never really something I especially wanted to get into, uh, but the writing for it itself, yes. And so I never expected to be in APs. What happened was that right before the start of the pandemic, Onduin, fellow co-creator of Roll D5, fellow director producer, uh, we went to college together. They were only there for about a year, but we kept in touch. Like we'd go to Salt Lake City Comic Con together sometimes, and they came up to me and they said, "Hey, I'm going to start this podcast on such and such channel," and like I know you like these kinds of things. Like, do you want to be part of it? And I'd been into D&D for about 2 years, 3 years by that point. And so I thought, sure, I'll learn another system. We played Mouse Guard, and then we did the first season. Uh, like, okay, like, okay, we didn't think we would take off and be the next Dungeons and Daddies or whatever, but it was fun. We did a few people. We did make some fans that we still talk to who've joined the Roll D5 server. That we did our season 2, where we used the Arium system, Monster Ex Machina. Very, very proud of that one. And then we decided to leave that particular network because they were not being very kind to us. And we were easily the top ranking podcast on their network, but they weren't very nice. And so we on messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want to get into Twitch streaming?" And it wasn't as big 3 years ago. And so I said, "Okay, sure, why not? Whatever." And then we created Roll D5.
I love that so much. I'm really happy that one, you guys felt comfortable enough to step away from a channel that wasn't treating you well. And two, felt like y'all had enough experience to be able to do it on your own. Or maybe you didn't feel like you had enough experience, but you weren't afraid
Nope.
to take that step. I know a lot of folks really want to, but kind of wait for someone else to invite them because they don't feel like they can start it on their own. So I'm so glad that you guys, went off and ventured onto your own because Roll D5 has become really successful over the years, and it's been really cool to be a part of. Not only being on the channel every once in a while to play, but just being friends with you and on, and knowing all of the hard work that goes into putting this channel on. So I'd love to hear. We kind of have heard the inspiration, but can you talk about how it has been seeing the channel grow from, hey, do you want to try Twitch streaming, to now being a crit finalist channel?
First off, you are a huge part of the growth of Roll
Oh my
D5.
God, stop.
No, you really are, though. It's a combination of you and Sam Comerford, who isn't really in the space anymore. The shitty
Shitty
D&D
D&D
character
character
idea guy.
ideas.
Yeah, he's kind of back on Blue Sky. So, if you want shitty D&D character ideas, go follow
And all
him.
of them are actually really good. None of them are ever shitty. I love them.
They're so good. I Oh my gosh, is this where I finally go public with this? I the, the reason we had Sam on our channel, I thought he was cute, and so then one day he posted like, "Hey, it'd be cool if people would invite me to be on their streams or whatever." I'm like, "Okay, I'm surprised no one has." And so I reached out to him, and then I actually ended up meeting him in person once too. He said I was the first person from online he ever met. And I thought, really? Like you're a I feel like these days everyone meets their friends from online. Um, but he is a full decade younger than me, so like pretty quick. Like once I learned that, I'm like, "Ugh, okay, nope, never mind, no more crush." Eh. Uh, but like because we started having him gas, and then he started Chaosium, was that his channel?
Hmm.
Yeah, and then he would invite on there, and then On met other people, and which brought them to Roll D5. And so, yeah, me having a little crush really expanded us. And then with you, Jess, I think it was Julie who first invited you onto our channel, or maybe it was just on. You ended up on our channel, and you had several like early on. You had several suggestions for us. Um, The big one being you will not play at an all white table. And it's something we hadn't really thought about, um, because it's something a lot of people I don't think really thought about until this past year. Um, and then we were like, oh, and then I thought about it. So I'm like, oh, like, I'm Latin, and while I am a bit more white passing, like, I'm still biracial, and thinking about it, I'm like, I do feel more comfortable when there are other more BIPOC individuals at the table. And so right away we adopted that. That was a huge thing for us. One of the most emotional moments I've had, it wasn't even on stream, it was off stream, was when we did our two-part all Latin table Call of Cthulhu with GM Justin. This was right before he joined the team, the Roll D5 team. And we even had the person who's doing tech for us, is also a person of color. And afterwards, it just felt so good, just so right. And oh, now I'm getting a little talking about it, but even though it's like being Brazilian, it's slightly different culturally. Like I don't speak Spanish, I speak Portuguese, but there still are a ton of similarities. Like you get the certain like the bickering, but like it's just playful banter, and like it's easy to like set us off, and we'll just keep talking and like do our thing, and it's really playful. And you get the fofoca, the chisme, and it was probably the most comfortable I've ever felt at a table, um, like the most culturally seen.
And I mean, I can completely understand when I'm at 100% queer tables, I feel very seen and heard and within my community. So I can imagine that it's very similar to that with all BIPAC or all Black tables, all of
Mhm.
one specific cultural heritage. I mean, it's really really wonderful being able to see tables like that. So I'm so glad that y'all were able to experience that with Justin, and I also love that he's on the Roll D5 team too. I mean, you guys are growing, and it's wonderful to see such an awesome community come together. A community that loves all tabletop role playing games, but specifically the indie ones. And so I
Yes.
know that you played 52 unique different systems over the last year. So I'd love to hear how you and On kind of decided that indie systems were going to be the love child that comes from Roll D5. So could you talk about that a little bit?
I started pushing for indie games a bit earlier than we actually adopted them because I had a real Kickstarter problem where I would support these games that I just really wanted to play. I'm like, oh yeah, like I want to branch out from D&D. At that point, I'd only tried Mouse Guard and the Arium system, and I wanted to learn more stuff. But like D&D was the most popular, and so that's just where we wanted to kind of cut our teeth, so to speak. Then the OGL thing happened, huge mess. And so I swooped in and told On, this is our opportunity to make ourselves distinct, to really find our voice within the space. If we go 99% indie games, this will, again, like just help to carve a little niche in the space, but also it'll give us a chance to make connections with these indie authors who probably never don't know if people really play their games. Maybe might not think their game will ever be streamed or anything, and to have an opportunity to showcase these games we're interested in. And there have been several times where people have reached out and said like, "Hey, thank you for playing my game." And like when they find out, they'll just be incredibly helpful and say like, "Oh, like here's some marketing stuff. Oh, I'm so excited!" Like, yeah, and that just makes me feel really good.
You can't get onto Twitch without seeing a D&D stream or a Vampire the Masquerade stream or any of the really big publisher games. And so it's really nice seeing y'all do all sorts of games, many of which I have never heard of until I tune into one of your streams. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is a new game. And I love that you even link to the game where people can find it. You talk about the game. And it's just, I think it's really important for a community that is so dominated by D&D to have voices and folks shouting out through the heavens, hey, there are other games that exist and you can play these too in addition to playing D&D, because I know a lot of people are never going to leave that behind, but
Yeah,
they can still
I'm
get
never gonna leave
introduced
D&D
into.
behind.
I probably won't either. I'm not going to lie, I am still in 2014. I'm going to stay there for a long long time.
Really? Okay.
I don't have
I
time
like
to learn.
2024.
I don't have time right now. Maybe some other
Mostly
time.
mostly I just use it for the character creation. I don't know that much about the edition, or just I like what they did with a lot of the character classes, so mostly I play 2024 for that.
Okay, understandable. Well, speaking of character creation, my friend, you have a super unique naming convention when it comes to your TTRPG characters with names like Lou Lamonk. You are not. I've got to go. It's been so real. Oh my
This
God.
this is my actual logo that my friend Zoe, who's part of the Roll D5 team, designed for me.
I love that so
Uh,
much. That's so
Eat,
sweet.
Play,
Also, it's
Roll. Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. I love that. Well, if the folks at home watching couldn't tell, he really likes lemons a lot. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about the love for citrus and how it started making its way into your TTRPG characters.
Yeah, so it started with my very first D&D game. And the whole thing was just kind of a joke. I was trying to think of for my very first D&D game in 2016, I think, with some friends from grad school. I was trying to think of a good character name, and I was flipping through my notes app, and for whatever reason, I had written down Lemon Mercy. And I thought, cool, that's my D&D character's name right there. And as I started to get more into it, looking things up on Google, I like I people will talk about character deaths, and I thought, all right, fine. You know what? If my character dies, I'll just name all of my characters Lemon. That way, I won't be sad. And so started the bit.
I don't know if you've had any characters die since Lou Lamonk, but that one stays right here with me and does make me very, very sad. If you haven't
Um,
yet, friends at
yeah.
home, watch Castleton, part one and part two. You're going to need a lot of hours, probably more than 100, but it's going to be worth it.
Oh,
You're
easy.
going to cry and you're going to fall in love with the story as well as AJ, the dungeon master.
Yeah.
Ugh,
And our two characters is Adriel and Luna, like highlight. I'm just our friendship. Definitely a highlight.
it really was. And
Mm.
it wasn't planned either. And I thought that
Nope.
that was really, really fun. And I loved just how we were able to bounce things off of each other in our little chat, just growing and growing our friendship in real life, the characters' friendship within the game. I thought that was really special. And I think that it goes to show that you can trust the people that you're playing with. And in fact, trusting the people that you're playing with, whether you're good friends with them, whether you don't know them very well, I think that's really important. And something that Roll D5 does really well is ensuring that everyone at the table feels safe and comfortable with the people that are playing. And that's actually why y'all are crit finalists this
Mhm.
year, if I am not mistaken. So I'd love to hear
Yeah.
a little bit about safety at the table, not only from you as a game master, but also just Roll D5 and how that is packaged, because I think y'all do it really, really well.
Thank you. We use, and I've seen some slightly different versions of this that I really like too. An anonymous safety sheet. The very top part is the only non-anonymous portion. You write down your name, your character name, and then it asks about your romance preferences. If you're okay with flirting or anything sexual romantic with first a fellow PC or an NPC. And I imagine we'll get into later like why I usually put yellow on mine, um, the romanticism. But then the bottom chunk is like at the red light system. There's the lines, veils, and the okay, the green, yellow, red, and you fill that out anonymously. You make your check mark, and if something is a red for one person, it's going to be a red for everyone. And I like this better than the typical sheet that people will have you fill out and send in because everyone can reference it. And it's just so much easier. And then we make sure to go through it again right before we stream so everything's fresh in our minds. And luckily, most of the time, too, the things that are red or even yellow almost never come up anyway. And Ew, I just spat in my screen. And normally, like if something darker is going to be there, we put in the game description on our casting call sheets, like, hey, this game's going to deal with body horror or themes of homophobia and self-loathing, etc. Like when I ran Night Hag back in October, I think, when I got people together to play that, I made sure to tell them like things are going to get dark with this. Please, like, let me know what buttons I can push for your characters, etc. Like, also make sure your characters that there's no bleed here, because like I don't want like you to be afraid of like your character to be afraid of drowning, but you're also afraid of drowning because I'd like to push that for your character for the horror. But like,
But
if
I
you're
want
afraid of
you,
like
the
I don't.
person, to be comfortable and feel good about
Yes,
showing up to the game.
exactly. And we've got tabs at the bottom of the sheet too that lead to like our basic welcome sheet that says, hey, we're here to have fun. That takes priority first and foremost. We're here to tell a good story. um, and I tell everyone too, like, hey, let me know if there is a problem, please. I want to make sure you have a good time at the table and that you want to come back, because I want you to come back. There are so many amazing people. I just want to keep playing games with all of them, with all the people. Um, and now that we have like our official DEI policy too, I can point them directly to that and tell them, hey, like if you have a problem with me, here is a list of all of the people on the Roll D5 team. You can reach out to them, and then they will tell me anonymously, like, hey, one of the players didn't like the way you talk to them about this. Um, and which also leads into, I hope it starts. I really hope these safety tools ease people into feeling like we can be a safe space, because you can't just declare yourself a safe space. You can't just wear a pin on your hat that says safe space. Trust me, I'm a safe space. That has to be earned. And so I hope with all of this, people can then be on the channel and experience this and can consider us a safe space.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I mean, it is really wonderful to see how y'all have grown and evolved and gotten to be such a big community channel. So I'd love to hear you share any advice for aspiring producers and channel hosts for how to create such a successful community based channel like Roll D5.
This reminds me when I was on Classic Sam, New York GM's channel, when she was talking to me. There was a question that kind of relates to this, like, would you tell people to start their own channel and uh, put their home games up, etc.? And like my answer was like, probably don't stream your home game. Uh, but if you want to get into streaming, I think it's fine to start your own channel so you can get experience. And I think that's a good, easy way to do that. Host games with people on your own channel. Um, so you start to get out there. Like that's just what we did. Like we first had Sam on, and then slowly we would just invite other people that we met to be on the channel. And it takes time. We've been around for 3 years now, and it took us a while to get to this point. And it's we're just gonna hopefully keep growing, etc. But for some people it happens faster than others. But also just don't go into this expecting to be like the next big it star, because there are different bubbles in the community. Like I've got friends who are just like in complete different bubbles, work with other people that I don't know or have never met, which is a whole fascinating other thing. But
The
what was the
internet is
question?
so vast and so wide, and every time I feel like I'm looking at TTRPG Blue Sky or TTRPG Threads or TTRPG Twitch, I'm like, what do you mean that there's like 80,000 other people that I just am not aware of. But the
Yeah.
question that I had asked was just advice that you can give to aspiring showrunners and producers to create an amazing community based channel like Roll
Yes.
D5.
You're going to trip up at the start. Don't expect to know everything. But there are some, again, I think it just depends where in the sphere you are. But, like the DEI policies are becoming more and more prevalent. Have standards and don't go back on them. For example, if you don't want to play at an all white table, don't. I mean, sometimes it happens. It's a majority white table because like something happens at last second, which has happened to me a few times. I'm like, I don't want to just like completely cancel the stream. I know, at least I know that you tried. Like that was the plans. Just things happen. Um, but like don't intentionally join something knowing that like either you're going to be the only BIPOC player or that it's all just going to be white, um, because how boring. So have your standards, stick with them, see what the bigger channels are doing, and try to adopt that and just be professional but fun. But professional. Don't be
That
a dick. That's the biggest thing. Just don't be a dick.
you just listed off two t-shirt ideas. Be professional but fun, but professional. And then the second one, don't be a dick. I
It's
love it.
really as simple as that. When I do session zeros with people, I tell them first and foremost, like, this all boils down to don't be a dick. And when I like guest GM on other channels, um, I say the same thing, like, hey, like, here are this channel's things, but we're all professionals. I feel like lately I haven't been playing with newer people. I've been playing not with the same people, but like people I know who are professional in the space. And so often I'll say, like, you're all professionals. You know how this works. Here's the safety sheet. Don't be a dick. Have fun. Get along. Share the spotlight. You know what's going on. And
Absolutely.
try and get to that point.
So
Totes.
shifting gears just a little bit, can we talk about what kind of characters bring you the most joy to play and what kind of stories that you're trying to tell? Obviously, the stories that you're telling are in the framework of an indie TTRPG, but let's expand upon that.
Surface level, I like playing comedic characters. For example, in my Triangle Agency home game, my character's name is Lucky Lemon. For those who don't know, Triangle Agency, you work for this agency and you try and capture and contain anomalies, anomalous beings created by strong thought, but you yourself are fused with an anomaly. And so my character um, is an anomaly that took over a comatose body, and the anomaly takes the shape of just a paper mache rabbit head. And so I got the idea from the movie Frank. Um, and like in the world, we set up that there are humanoid animals in this world. Like one of the characters plays um, an anthropomorphic lizard, Lirez, and I use his sticker a lot in that one of our other players, Jude, created. I the anyway, and at first he was just comedic. Like the purpose of his anomaly was to be a good roommate. And so, like he just had this voice and very much like, I'm here to be a good roommate. ACAB. Somehow he got very into ACAB. I don't really know what happened,
Rightfully
but that's
so.
yes,
Rightfully
rightfully
so.
so. It just became a big part of his character somehow. And at first, like he was just this joke character, but then he kind of evolved. And someone pointed to one of the other players, Nitro, pointed out to me like, why was the body comatose that like Lucky took over? Is his focus actually being a good roommate? Like, kind of pushing me to think more about it. And so, went from this joke character to the real like the little content warning, mental health and stuff that like got into a motorcycle accident. What if he actually had a death wish? Not necessarily suicidal, you know. kind of coming to terms with his sexuality, and it's to the point where he actually is awake. At some point, he woke up, but just kept letting Lucky use the body. And so at this point, it's almost endgame for the character. But it's been fun now that Lucas is awake, and there have been opportunities where I've role played both of them. Like, Lucas has a this southern twang, not the greatest. Um, and when he first woke up and was talking to Lucky, like I did a whole 5 minute back and forth, just switching between the accents. I was just waiting for the other players to just stop me, but they just let me keep going.
No, no,
And so at
that's grab your popcorn and just watch the show that has been presented before us.
and so I like characters who are silly at first, but then you dig into the meat of them. Get the opportunity to really see what makes them tick. Like Lula Monk on Castleton, he's just the silly little lemon priest. But then, spoilers, you dig into him, and it turns out, oh, he's not the demigod of citrus fruit, because that would be silly. Why is there a demigod of citrus fruit? Um, oh, his father is actually the father of all the sins, and it turns out he's actually um, the opposite of a sin, virtue. And he has these abandonment issues. He's lonely, and then he gets his found family, and then ends up actually meeting one of his siblings. And so those are the characters I love the most. But I also almost never get to play them because I do so many one shots. So mostly I just do just funny characters. But I like there are other characters I could talk about that I'm not going to. Um, but that's those are the characters I like to play.
And I really like that you have the I'm going to do a comedic character if it's kind of a little bit more short term. And even if it is a long term character, I'm going to give you the facade of it's just a funny little guy. But actually, there's all of this behind him that you can't see what's going on.
Okay, one more example. Talking XP Johnny, when I joined his Ravenloft Misfits, his Curse of Strahd campaign, like my character, it's Curse of Strahd. He can't be too funny, but I also gave him like that southern twang, and he was sort of comedic, even though also tragic because it's Barovia. Undead. He's been trapped there for hundreds of years as a white, and but it's still funny. Like most people didn't take him too seriously. And then it was revealed in his backstory that to piss off Strahd, he made a pact with Tatiana that all of her incarnations, before Strahd could get to her, he would kill them. And so suddenly, like no one else at the table knew this. And so when we were going through this special episode talking about Citron's backstory, doing the role play, and suddenly Citron bites the head off of one of one of them, and
Jesus
everyone's like,
Christ.
"I'm sorry, what the fuck just happened?" The end. There we go. Yeah, last
Incredible.
example of silly, but like, oh, there's a really dark side there. Oh, okay.
Maybe this lemon is a little rotten on the inside. Maybe
Yeah, it's a
maybe
little
there's a little
too
dark
sour.
spot. Who knows? Ugh, amazing. All right. This I think is one of we're getting to our last questions. It looks like we only have three more, and I'm a little bit sad about that.
Ooh.
But that's okay because we're gonna keep on keeping on. Can you tell me what is exciting you in tabletop right now, just in general?
People being willing to play the indie games. That's what makes me the most excited right now. Like people I play home games with will catch an RD5 stream and be like, "Hey, I want to check that out." Like one of my home tables with some coworkers from back when I worked at a cheese company. When we are all happened to be at the same town finally, because like two of them live in California, one lives in Utah, and I had moved somewhere else. The last time we were all in the same place, we played Sexy Battle Wizards instead of our D&D game, and to see them be like, "Yeah, let's when we're done with our current campaign, let's do a few one shots of these other games because this is really interesting." and being able to invite people on and give them new favorite games, especially Triangle Agency, to bring that up again. Um, I personally and Roll D5 are mentioning the special things for Triangle Agency because we played it so much. And during PAX, um, I don't know, like at least 5 people went and bought the Triangle game from their booth because of me. And that makes me so happy. And that's
Hell
what I'm most
yeah.
excited about right now. People actually taking my suggestions and reaching out to grab these games so they can play them.
Well, Triangle Agency is a fantastic game. For you watching at home, go and pick it up. Mika did a phenomenal and fun and just all around great time. I mean, he's done a lot of them, but the one that I'm thinking of specifically, I was on and had a great time on Roll D5. Maybe back in March, maybe in February. I don't know. But it was a
I
lot
think
of
it was
fun.
March.
And I think that you would
Yeah.
enjoy it too. So then, my friend, I want to talk to you about humans in TTRPG games because they have a really bad rep for being boring in D&D. So I'd like to hear about a standout human character that you've made across any TTRPG and what made them unique. Um, so yeah, what and it doesn't have to be D&D, it can be from Triangle Agency because technically you are still a
Mhm.
human.
Yeah. Or depending
Human
on,
adjacent.
yeah. Yeah, I would just have to say Lucas Lemon and Lucky, his anomaly, which I talked about earlier, I think is my favorite human character I've ever made because he's dealing with his depression, and then we got into some other stories. He's growing and wants to live, and he's living harmoniously with his anomaly and just being more open to life, wanting to put himself out there and caring less what others think and putting himself into the queer community.
And I love
Yeah.
how I think playing a TTRPG character can really help you examine your own humanity.
Mhm.
Whether you're playing a human or a sexy tiefling bard or any other character, just seeing the choices that you're making as a different person, I think can really just help you examine your own life, which I think is
Yeah,
really really neat and very cathartic sometimes. Because God, I
it
would never
is.
choose to, well, maybe I would choose to go on an adventure and slay dragons and pick up maidens at a bar, but not in this life, unfortunately.
It can lead to bleed. I think some people give bleed too much of a bad rap. But like, as if you use the proper safety tools and everything, yeah, you can examine things. Like, there's that joke that like there's always one person at a D&D table who's discovers that they're trans through D&D or
Hmm.
discovers that they're queer.
And that's a super great thing. I mean, Chuck's my first D&D character was a tiefling bard, and she was very bisexual. And wouldn't you know, I knew that I was bisexual, but I wasn't super comfortable being from the Midwest. That was something that was kind of deep down. My second character was a non-binary. You guessed it, tiefling bard. I have a type, and wouldn't you know, very now
Mhm.
comfortable with my non-binariness, and so it's just a really amazing vehicle to be able to explore yourself in a very safe and controlled environment.
Yeah,
And to kind of put another hat on. Yes, it's the hat that you want to wear, but you don't have to wear that hat all the time if you don't want. You can try a lot of different hats on, or maybe you can try some shoes on. And at the end of the
yeah,
day, you get to decide if you keep them on or if you change them. So I think that
yeah.
that's really, really wonderful. And so, friend, we have our last question. And this is one of my favorite questions that I ask all of my guests. And it is that tabletop implies the existence of table bottom. Where do you weigh in on this philosophical debate?
There's a table bottom. There's also a table side. Um, and then there's also table dom, table sub. And I think this is all very valid. Table power bottom, table soft top,
Table brat.
table brat, yes. There are lots of table brats out there. I feel like most people are table brats, whether they realize it or not. And you tell them that, and they'll probably say, "Oh no, yeah, you're right. I'm a table brat." I like to think I am a table soft top.
Okay.
Or like a nice rule of cool, etc. But like Night Hag, if you give me the opportunity, I will push your character's buttons to see what makes them tick.
Incredible. I love that. Well, my friend, thank you so much for going through the interview portion. Now we're going to
Yeah.
go into our game portion.
Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow.
All right, my friend, we are here to play a game. Bow, 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 bow. Very
Bow, bow, bow.
exciting. You have picked the game I'm Going to a Convention, which hasn't been picked a lot. I am so excited to play. I haven't played it now in 5 whole episodes. So, for those of you who have never played this before, basically, I have thought of a place and I am going to give hints of where that place might be by saying what I am bringing to that location. And then Mika will ask if I would also be bringing this thing. And we're just going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until Mika says, hey, is the convention at this location? If he guesses right, he wins. If he guesses wrong at the end, he loses. So if the convention was happening at like Chuck E. Cheese's, I might start by saying, I'm going to a convention and I'm bringing pizza. And then he might say, are you going to be bringing a cash register? To which I would say, yeah, because there are cash registers at Chuck E. Cheese's. So, Mika, are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Amazing. Okay, I'm going to a convention and I am bringing plants.
Are you bringing snakes?
Snakes?
Snakes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I am going to a convention and I'm bringing a tape measurer.
Part of me wants to say just guess already, but that would be bad. Well, are you bringing two by fours?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to a convention and I am bringing a light bulb.
Oh, are you bringing marijuana?
No.
Okay.
I am going to a convention and I'm bringing a ladder.
Are you bringing chickens?
Nope.
Ooh, okay.
I am going to a convention and I am bringing a hammer.
Are you bringing siding?
Siding. Do
Hmm.
you mean siding? Like, what do you mean?
Um, like a base wall for a house?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm going to a convention and I'm bringing drill bits.
Is the convention at a future housing lot where you're building condos?
It's not. Oh no,
No.
it's at a hardware store.
So when I paused that first second and said I was going to guess after you mentioned the measuring tape, I was going to say, is the convention at Home Depot?
Oh no. Damn.
Yeah, but I also didn't want the game to end right away. I was so tempted to just jump right in and say, ugh, listen to your gut, Mika. Listen to your gut. Ah.
Hey, but I mean, you got it. Just you were very close. My next one was cash register and then after that was concrete and concrete accessories. I write these down in front of me so I don't forget or
Yeah.
get too nervous that I forget. I was going to do plant store, and then I started thinking plants, cash register, everything else is just more plants. So,
Yeah.
dirt, I guess. I don't know. I went to a plant store today and that had a disco
Mm.
ball and a coffee shop and three
Ooh.
cats. But I figured that that would
Okay.
be a little too mean because it's very, very specific. How would you know the plant store that I went to today?
I went to Home Depot 2 days ago, which is why that was on my mind because we started off in the plant section.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's one of the best sections to go to when you're there. So I get that for sure.
True. I would like to buy a lemon tree.
You probably should actually.
I should.
If you don't have a backyard, you can put it on a patio.
I want a bonsai lemon tree.
I actually love that, and I think you should do it.
Okay. I'm gonna
Well,
do it. It's on my list.
well, my friend, before we get our show on the road, I would love for you to tell the people all of the amazing things that you're working on personally, as well as what you're working on at Roll D5. You're doing a lot of cool stuff, and I'd love for the folks to know about it. So please take this time.
If you want Mika right this very second, go to The Heart is a Dungeon. I'm a guest in season one. In season two, I'm a main character. I play La La Lemon, who is a Corvid Fae. Season two's Once Happily Upon Ever. Um, I think season three just finished. I have several other projects coming up later this year with The Heart is a Dungeon. We just started our Latin Table Wanderhome game. I have one of my short stories was chosen to be d- adapted for The Heart is a Dungeon, and then I'm working on another audio drama, which is a sequel to an audio drama that I did many like a decade ago. Um, you can catch me on Somebody's Heroes, where I'm main cast in one of the three main groups. Um, oh god, what else am I doing? I'm working on a project with Matt War Torn Knight, that's based off of Fate Stay Night, which very excited about. We've been in talks for like the past month and a half, figuring everything out, the system, etc. I'm working on a game with Jordan from Goosepoop Games called Liminal Horror. I'm in the middle. We have the rules in the middle of writing it out, looking for artists. Hopefully, most of that is done by the time this airs. I've got my own itch page where I have two games, soon to be three, on there. One of them is Do Corvid Be Destructive, which was came about from a TikTok I saw about anti-bird architecture. And then I made a sequel called Be Corgi Do Destruction, because I am currently trying to raise some money to help pay for a vet bill for Baxter. And so I made, even though Baxter isn't a corgi, I made a corgi version that'll be playing on a few channels in July. And I also have a three-part Call of Cthulhu project coming up in July with Turk, who's one of those people who like isn't quite in the same TTRPG sphere. And then finally, I'm working on a project using the empty cycle system, which is based on shows like Kill la Kill and Fooly Cooly, over on Starcrawl Productions. And I think that I'm over the place. Like I freelance, and so if I'm not looking for clients, I have a lot of free time, and so I just put all my stats into the TTRPG space. So it's pretty easy to find me places.
Hell
And then of course Roll
yeah.
D5.
Of
Yeah,
course, Roll D5. And all of
yeah.
these are underneath in the video description. So make sure that you click on all of those and support Mika and the amazing work that he's doing, not only himself as a freelance worker, but also on Roll D5 and that channel. But, friends, before we get into our final segment, stick around for some upcoming tabletop and charity initiatives that you can check out. Hi, friends. I've got two announcements for today. Be sure to check out Hell Whaler's Book of Leviathan on BackerKit. It's a 40-page companion book to the original Hell Whalers TTRPG, where you play as cursed whalers hunting a monstrous whale through hell, looking for salvation of your eternal souls. If you're not 100% convinced yet, check out my TTRPG flip through of this book, and then go to the BackerKit. You've got until July 9. I'm also super excited about the No Ice in California charity bundle that's launching on Itch.io on July 4. Let's be real, this is the only thing that I'm celebrating this year on July 4. This charity bundle has more than 500 games, including TTRPGs, video games, game supplements, and more for a donation of just $10. That $10 goes to Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services, as well as Immigrant Defenders Law Center. This bundle will last until August 10, and we hope to raise at least $100,000 to split between these amazing immigrant immigrant rights organizations. All right, my friend, we have made it through the interview portion, through the game portion, and now we are here to tell the people good morning. So without further ado, I hand the mic to you.
Good morning to everyone who wants to platonically open mouth kiss their friends, and to them only.
You heard it here, folks. I'm Just the Human, and this is Mika from Roll D5. And together, we're saying good morning to everyone who wants to platonically open mouth kiss their friends, and to them only.
Yep, that one's just for you, Johnny.